level playing field is something about horizontal, right? So that we regulate all the same agencies, the same service, the same way. So whether it's offered by a bank, a payment service, or by one of these new technology, what we call digital service providers, they should be regulated the same. Now, if we go up the ladder, we have to regulate more tightly. So a deposit is regulated among many countries, often in the banking system regulation more tightly because it has risk to the user. I mean, that the money can be stolen, the money can disappear, but there's also other requirements in terms of record keeping, so that if there were to be a problem, that you can go back to it. And that's what we mean by the ladder. As these risks rise, we want the regulation to be tighter. And the challenge is it's kind of a matrix, right? So you have the level of the services that you want to regulate horizontally, and they have the ladder going up. Some institutions offer more than one services. So for that reason, they're going to be more regulated more tightly. And that's where the new digital is going to be a little bit tricky. We know the banking system quite well. We don't know yet how to do it on the digital side perfectly.
What types of new regulations?
Well, not necessarily new regulations, because we know from the banking side quite well how to regulate. But we may want to start very simple, for example. One of the proposals we have is that if you have a new entry of a digital service provider, and it's offering some safety in terms of a stored value, what we call it a deposit, but it's really kind of a stored value, that we're asking that digital service provider put the money in a safe asset, a highly liquid safe asset, could be a government bond or something like that. That gives security and safety to that user of that service without putting on all the apparatus of a banking system. Now, if the provider wants to go further and says, well, I do want to offer all the other services and I also want to provide credit, that's fine, but then you have to go for the banking licenses.
Do you think that might put some companies off getting into the market?
Well, we do it for the good reasons, right? So because the risk involved, the risk to the consumer, the risk to the financial system as a whole. So for that reason, it would be imprudent to say, no, it's fine, you can do whatever you want. We don't allow countries, or most countries don't allow banks to open them up overnight, right? You have requirements on what is a prudent person, do we trust them, does he have the systems in place, but very importantly, does he have risk management in place, and where he's investing the money in. And if we allow the DSPs, the digital service provider, to do some of the same things, we're going to have to regulate them in the same way. That's back to the level playing field. That has to have a risk dimension to it as well.
Yeah, just to add and clarify a point, it is very important to stress that we are not adding more regulation. We are using, the reason why I start presenting the framework is because we are using the toolkit that regulators have already been using in the banking system as well and in other industries, and use that toolkit in a smart way when you think about financial inclusion. So it's not additional regulation that we are saying, okay, let's put more burden here, more burden there. No, it's the way you frame the regulation and when and how you apply it.